You're watching News Live and I'm Kendall Makhamati. Now, the National Working Committee of the ANC is currently meeting at their party's headquarters in Luthuli House. It's expected that high amongst their agenda points will be the recent cabinet reshuffle announced by President Jacob Zuma last week. Senior party leaders have expressed differing views on the firing of the finance minister along with 4 other ministers. Earlier we spoke to our reporter Chriselda Lewis on the matter. This is how it went.
The meeting of the National Working Committee of the ANC is still locked behind closed doors. There have been now for the past couple of hours, and really I think it must be pointed out that this is the traditional Monday meeting of the ANC's National Working Committee, but I think it must be pointed out that it does take place under extraordinary circumstances, because this is the first time that the President of the ANC and the President of the country will be coming face to face with one of the top structures of the ANC post that cabinet reshuffle. Of course, I'd love to be a fly on the wall at this point, Kendall, given the fact that over the past couple of days, we've literally seen the ANC's top 6 torn in half. We've seen the sentiments that were shared by the ANC's Secretary General Gwede Mantashe, as well as the Treasurer General Zweli Mkhize, as well as the Deputy President of the ANC and Deputy President of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, who basically for the first time, certainly something that we've seen for the first time, where you've got 3 of the most senior members within the top 6 of the ANC disagreeing with the ANC president. So really, I'd love to be a fly on the wall at this point there, Kendall, to see what kind of discussions will be taking place, because first of all, the sentiments that were shared by the 3 of these top 6, you recall, of course, related to non-consultation when it came to the names that were put forward for the ministers who were going to replace the axed ones. And there was great dissent as well relating to the axing of the now former finance minister, Pravin Gordhan, as well as his deputy, Mcebisi Jonas. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of this meeting. I think very important to note as well that this would be the very first time that the ANC president and the president of the country does come face to face with some of those axed ministers, including some of those that we were expecting to attend here from this morning into this afternoon, including the former tourism minister Derek Hanekom, as well as the now axed energy minister Tina Joe-Matt Peterson. So really, with regard to the sentiments that were shared, but I think some of the analysts that I really tried to engage with since this morning about what is likely to come out of this National Working Committee meeting are basically saying, and I think that sentiment I certainly picked up at a press conference that was held by the National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete yesterday at OR Tambo International Airport. Don't forget, she's also the national chairperson of the ANC. She really didn't want to say what her feelings were about the president's decision to reshuffle and the names that were put forward for those ministers who've now been sworn in and are serving in the president's cabinet. So she said, of course, that she would want to first come to the National the National Working Committee meeting and gauge from some of her comrades about what the reason was for such a public display of dissentment against the president of the ANC. So, but what I do think these analysts are very critically also indicated was that the ANC would really need to come out with a unified voice at this point, because there's been much criticism about the manner in which some of the top 6 so publicly, the ANC has always been preaching unity and action, and whatever challenges that the ANC does face, the Secretary General, for example, was one of the people who said there are proper structures within the African National Congress where some of those challenges can be put to the fore amongst themselves, and then the ANC goes and speaks out with a unified voice. So I think at this point there would need to be some kind of consensus from this National Working Committee meeting about how the ANC will come out and perhaps call a press conference at a later stage with a unified voice, stating, of course, you'd recall, the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, Jesse Duarte, was amongst those who basically didn't really condemn the president, but basically said whatever decisions he has made, he does have the constitutional right to make changes to his cabinet. However, the kind of support needs to be given to those ministers who've now been sworn in. So you've literally seen over the past few days the top 6 being cut in half. But I think post this meeting, what the ANC would need to do is to come out with a unified voice, despite the fact that you've had some of the very senior members within the African National Congress really expressing their public displeasure with the ANC president. And despite those challenges and some of the issues that they raised regarding the firing of some of these ministers, as well as the non-consultation regarding the list that was put forward, it's for them to come out and show a unified, or give a unified voice about how the ANC plans to move forward.